How many of you feel like you're carrying a bag of bricks sometimes? How many of you, when you wake up in the morning, there are times where you just don't want to get out of bed? Not because you just love the feeling of the bed, but because anxiety and depression has just got you down, where you feel like you have anchors tied down onto your ankles. How many of you have goals that you want to pursue, but yet when you look at them, they feel like they're just too far out of reach, nowhere within grasp? How many of you feel like you're climbing a mountain where there's no ending? Yeah, I know. I've been there. And that's why on today's episode, I kind of wanted to talk about some of these things. Because I found, as of late, some people within my circles, I've been watching them, and they seem depressed. There's a few of them out there that just seem like they're down and out, like they're fighting, like they're battling. And that's why I want to talk about the spiritual warfare, the spiritual battle that's going on in the world today. Things that we don't want to admit, that we don't want to recognize, that we just want to sweep under the rug and ignore it. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, we can't ignore it. Ignorance is not bliss. Because if we don't address these things, if we don't face them toe to toe, they'll just continue to suck us down. So let's talk about it. Depression. What is depression exactly? Well, it's defined as a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed mood or loss of interest in activities, causing significant impairment in daily life. Possible causes include a combination of biological, psychological, and social sources of distress. Increasingly, research suggests that these factors may cause changes in the brain function, including altered activity of certain neural circuits in the brain. Now, granted, I do agree with a lot of what I just read, but at the same token, I wanted to make it clear how spiritual forces also play a factor in your mental state of mind, or shall I say, on your mental health. Last time I checked in Ephesians 6, it talks about how our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual forces of this dark world. It goes on to say a lot more, but I just wanted to focus on that part. And that a truer statement couldn't be told. See, folks, there is a battle going on, and today's generation will immediately dismiss it. They'll put it down, they'll renege on it, they'll make comments and state, there is no spiritual war. All those stories back in the day were made by old timers, taught basically to put us in. They were mentioned to us just to keep us in line, to keep us in check. They're not real. Or don't force that down our throats. That's not what we believe in. Hey, that's fine. You don't believe in it, so be it. Just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean that it's not true. And I wanted to remind people that whenever you're feeling that struggle, whenever you're feeling that tug of war, whenever you're feeling depression trying to sneak in, when it's creeping in, or when it does sneak up on you and you don't even realize it, you just wake up and you're like, darn gone it, I'm in a bad place right now. To not give up, to fight it. You have to remember and go after your goals. Too many times I see people, especially in New Year's, come up with New Year's resolutions, and they'll say, "Man, these are my New Year's resolutions. These are what I'm going for. This is my list. Boom, 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 and boom." 9 times out of 10, people don't even come even close to completing their New Year's resolutions. That's why I don't do them. That's why I don't make them. Never did. Haven't done it in years. I just set goals throughout the year and I actively pursue them. But you see, that's the thing. When depression and anxiety kick in, those two things will suck the life right out of you. They'll prevent you from going after your goals, from going after your dreams. You'll feel like you're tangled in a web. Does that ring a bell for anyone who's listening? Feeling like you're caught in a web, that you're stuck, that you can't move? Well, guess what? It's all a lie. It's all in the mind. That's not reality. Reality is you waking up every morning, putting your pants on, and putting one foot in front of the other every day. That's how life works, and that's how winning is done. By putting one foot forward. For those who have your goals, I'm challenging you to pursue them, to go after them. For those who don't have goals, I suggest you grab a piece of paper and a pen, compile a list, and start going after them. I often use anger to get things done. I often use anger as fuel for my fire, to find the motivation, the invigoration, the inspiration to go after my dreams. Often people will say, anger is not a good thing. Anger is bad. It is a negative emotion. There is some truth to that. But at the same token, you can also use it and harness it for strength. Last time I checked, I remember a scripture in Matthew where Jesus walked into a temple and kicked tables upside down. Basically kicked everyone outside of the temple. Kicked them out. I'm pretty sure that didn't look like a nice moment at the time. But yet he still did it. Make no mistake, there was indignation there. And there was anger there as well. So anger as a whole is not necessarily a bad emotion, as long as you use it and channel it in the right places. If you have to use anger to get stuff done, that's the phrase that I love now. Anger is what gets stuff done. So does love. But I'm talking about anger right now. Anger will get stuff done. Anger will get you motivated to stand up and pursue your goal. Anger will get you going to stand up and say, you know what, I'm tired of not pursuing my dreams. Anger will get you to stand up and say, you know what, no more excuses today. I'm going to go pursue what's on my mind. Whether it be going back to school or finding that new career or pursuing that woman or man that you always wanted to talk to but had fear, and just that fear didn't allow you to take the next step. That same fear that didn't allow you to take the next step to apply for that job because you feel the insecurities kicking in, where those voices in your head will say, you're not qualified, you're not good enough. It's those same voices where when you're overweight and you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, man, I want to start training, I want to start working out. But you're insecure of how you look, and because of that, you won't go into the gym. Or you think it's just too high of a mountain to climb. It's too much work to put in for you to drop the weight. Those are all excuses. Those are all negative thoughts. And don't think for a second that the spiritual world doesn't play a factor in that. Because you see, I firmly believe those spirits that are out there, granted, they may not directly be able to force you to do something, but they do influence you with your emotions. It's one of their tricks that they use. And you have to be intelligent enough to understand that, to realize that that possibility does exist, and as well as having the intestinal fortitude to overcome that. Again, I know this may sound far-stretched and out in left field, but for those who believe, you know what I'm talking about. So I wanted to remind everybody, go after your dreams. Do not allow depression or anxiety to slow you down. Don't allow anxiety and depression to shackle you where you can't move forward. All you got to do, the first step, is just put one foot forward. That's all you got to do. Find the courage to put that one foot forward. Find the courage to apply the action that's necessary, and you might be surprised in the outcome. Use whatever it takes to keep you motivated, whether it's loved ones, specifically for the older folks who have children. Think of your children. Think of the legacy that you're leaving behind. Think about when you're long gone, what type of example did you set for them? Where did you set the bar as far as integrity, ethics, morals? Because you see, that's important. If you can use that to motivate you to keep pushing forward, to fight the depression, to fight the anxiety, to fight the stress, then all the power to you. But you got to find something. You got to find something to fuel that fire in you. Too often I've seen people just give up. See, another famous proverb that I remember is you only fail if you quit. Remember that, folks. You only fail if you quit. If you quit, then you failed. You're done. You tapped out. But if you don't quit, as long as you just keep getting up, if you feel like you get knocked down, get back up. As long as you keep getting back up, you're not failing. You know, I often think about Hulk Hogan and his time in wrestling, and even though wrestling is fake, and quite frankly, I can't even bear the thought of watching it anymore, but when I was a child, I enjoyed it. And I remember Hulk Hogan would get into this pandemonium-like run where people would be hitting him, and he'd be just shaking his body, like convulsing, just getting that stamina, getting that energy, getting that adrenaline flowing in the body, where he was basically immortal, invincible. And then he would wind up kicking the guy's butt. It's like in the same way. You got to have that mentality when depression and anxiety kicks in. When you have those negative spirits, those negative forces trying to influence you, to keep you down. You got to be like Hulk Hogan in that gimmick. And even though it was a gimmick, it is something that you can model by. You got to get that adrenaline flowing and stand up and point your finger at whatever's in front of you and say, no, I'm going to win. I'm going to accomplish my goal. I also want to encourage people to start praying more often. It doesn't need to be some long, lengthy event. It can just be a 1-minute conversation if need be. But I encourage people to start praying more. I've come to believe more and more now as I'm getting older, the more you pray, the more you keep negative influences away from you. The more you walk towards the light, the more you stay in the light and making the right choices. More oftentimes than not, negativity will run and flee. Doesn't mean you'll never have situations. Doesn't mean that you'll never have issues come up. But basically, those spiritual forces will know that you're a force to be reckoned with. But if you're one that folds like a cheap suit and is constantly making the wrong choices, then you're like a filet mignon on a platter. I do encourage, if there are individuals out there who have chronic depression or anxiety, definitely go seek medical attention. I don't dispute that. But at the same token, make sure you're looking at the man upstairs, because he's the ultimate medicine and he is the ultimate solution. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like and subscribe button. It goes a long way. And until next time, Wolfman907 out. Peace.